Uh, Mr. Donny Madge, Megalodon, Daddy Don. Firstly, dude, congratulations.
Thank you.
How's new dad life treating you in general, and with dealing with the camp? How's that all working out so far, man?
It's obviously like it has its challenges, like I'm sure it's, sleeplessness and being on call 24/7 is kind of it's something that you have to adapt to. But like as far as being in camp, it's just been, luckily I have my wife. My wife's been like a rock solid mama, and she's been holding down the fort while I've been having to do what I'm doing. So I've actually moved my schedule around so that I'm free up mostly in the day, and then at night is when I turn on my shift.
Yeah, yeah. The baby shifts are long and never ending. So
Yeah,
it's I don't imagine it to be too easy. And what's your day like at the moment? What sort of how many sessions are we talking about, and how's that all panning out?
So I'm currently in a deload week. So I've pulled back to just 30% now, just for this week, and then we'll start ramping it up to the last ends of camp. But it's normally three sessions, 4 sessions a day. Some days I have 4 sessions. Um, I've got like my conditioning stuff I do in the mornings, and then I've got all my fight specific stuff that I do in the afternoons and evenings. But bro, like I'm always in the gym. I'm always there. I'm always working. I've been working heavily on my conditioning for the last couple of months, and I feel like it's been paying off.
And then obviously it's going to be your first camp coming up, not only as a dad, but being back in Cape Town, a bit of a new structure. I want to say a new team, but it's not really a new team. You guys have been together quite a while.
Yeah.
What's the feeling like now? I mean, obviously, being in Cape Town, having family around you, obviously, you've got your immediate family in your house, and your brother, your mom, those kind of things. Has it been? Do you think so far it's been the correct adjustment for Don Madge?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, obviously you when you've been with the team for so long, like I've been with like Richie and the guys up at FFM for so long, you get used to a certain amount of, you get used to a certain amount of teammates, you get used to a certain structure and system. But I've pretty much taken that exact structure and system and put it in Cape Town. So I feel like I'm still doing exactly what I was doing. Me and Richie talk on a regular basis, and he sends me stuff that I need to like maybe work on, some sequences that they've been working on. So I'm even though I'm not there, I'm still there.
Sure.
The great thing is, like you said, I've got my family here. We're really settled. I've got my gym. I'm running my business. It's good to be like hands on in the business because I've been very detached in the last couple of years. Obviously, being in Joburg, it's been very difficult to sort of be hands on in the business. And going back to like sort of my roots, like getting back into the swing of things with like my boxing coach Matt, and like I said, focusing on my conditioning, getting my strength up as I have been this whole year, and really pushing that like the upper limits of what my body can do. Trying to see and test as how hard can we push me, and I think like in 4 weeks we're gonna see how hard I've been pushing myself and how hard I have been pushing those limits, and yeah, I think it's all gonna show out on the night. I like I've I've been this is probably the most professional I've been in my camps in recent history. I've got diet dietitians. I've got guys making camp food for me. I've got biokineticists. I've got physios. I've got sports psychologists. I've just got like so many different aspects now that I've never really sort of used. All coming together, and yeah, I think this is going to be my breaking out party.
Fantastic, man. I mean, obviously, in the last, it's been, I think, just on 2 years or just short of 2 years since you were last in action. I mean, I get littered with questions all the time. I'd hate to know what you have to deal with about when is Don Madge fighting, and obviously this brings us to to the biggest point and the most asked question about what we now know that you've signed with PFL. And I mean, there's obviously been a long ongoing saga in terms of the fight career of Don Madge. There's been visa issues. There's been opponents, multiple opponents. I think there's opponents uh, that were signed and recruited without people even really knowing. There were last minute opportunities to fly across 10-hour time zones against people that that you knew very well and that you were being asked to fight. And it seemed like a big mix of inconveniences in terms of the UFC getting you fights and then almost leaving you to blame in some kind of way for them not really materializing. So Don, the biggest question is, people want to ask, obviously, I think it's quite clearly now that you're no longer with the UFC, you signed with the PFL. In your words, how that came about to start there, and how PFL came about, how kind of UFC ended, or what the whole scenario was from your side.
Yeah, so like I mean, like you said, it's been frustrating. Since signing with them, it's been frustrating. Even getting signed was frustrating. I don't think a lot of people know the whole process of how I got signed. I went over to help Cyborg with her fight camp, and I just signed with her manager at the time, and the whole point of me going there was to help her with the camp and get signed to the UFC. So that was like an agreement that was already had been established before I'd even flown out. And so when I got there, I did the camp, I did my parts. I came back to South Africa expecting to get my UFC contract. To be met with, oh yeah, like let him have another 1 or 2 fights before we sign him or whatever. To me, and I was like, okay, well, that's not what you guys said. You guys said you were going to sign me, and then from the management side and Chris's side, they started putting pressure on the UFC to obviously send me through my contract, because that was the agreement that was made. And so we kind of got off onto like not the best start, And then obviously the relationship that Cyborg has with the UFC and me being attached to her name didn't help either. And so our start wasn't great, And I figured that with my performances, I would improve the relationship, and I felt like, especially after my debut, that I would be able to improve the relationship, and that didn't work out at all. And it just kind of felt like the whole time that I was there, I was constantly trying to like prove that I'm supposed to be there,
Sure.
even though I'm clearly supposed to be there beating the guys that they're giving to me, And then it started becoming like, okay, now I'm not getting offered fights. I'm getting put to the back of the mill. Even though I'm like constantly asking for fights, just not getting fights. And then when I do get offered fights, it's like against a debutant, and then it's like a guy pulls out, then it's like another replacement, and then it's on like a shitty card, or it's just like I was just never getting like any sort of like opportunity to grow, and it didn't really seem like there was any. It just didn't seem like there was ever going to be a path for me to like break out in the UFC, and I was getting really frustrated, especially since the lockdown happened, when I was about to sign a fight in March before the lockdown happened. And then obviously COVID and whatever, and then all the fights got canceled. And then when South Africa opened up again and we were able to travel, I started saying like, hey guys, I'm ready to fight. That was in September 2020. And the first fight offer I got was in January, and like that to me is just like 4 months later. And a lot of guys don't know this as well. The reason we got that fight offer in January is because before I got the fight offer on the Thursday of the week, but on the Monday of the week, I called my manager Tim and I said, dude, if I don't get a fight offer by the end of this week, tell them to cancel my contract. I can't sit here and not fight forever. Like it's not fair for me, I'm literally in the prime of my career right now. I'm in my physical, mental prime. This is my time to go, and I'm being sat on the shelf, because Shelby has a problem with me. You know what I mean? Like it's it's not fair. You know, I felt like I wasn't being treated right. So that was my thing. And then I got offered the Guram fight, which in my opinion was never going to happen now looking back, because first of all, he pulled out. Then second of all, they hadn't even planned my visa appointment. So it wasn't a fact. It wasn't even the fact that matters, there was no visa appointment set up for me for that fight. So I was never going anywhere. Which obviously I only found out once they told me like, hey, you don't have a visa appointment a week before the fight. Um, you know, so it's been like frustrations after frustrations after frustrations after frustrations. And now when they canceled the fight in July, you know, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, now how long is it going to be before we get another fight offer, you know? So, you know, obviously we made a plan. Tim, my manager's a good working man, and he managed to get us a contract with the PFL. You know, it's between PFL or Bellator, and for me, I was like, you know, I would much rather be in the PFL and you know, have a crack at that million. You know, I think. You know, the thing is, like, for most MMA fighters to make $1 million is impossible unless you're a world champion in the UFC and you fight for pay-per-views, and even some of them don't make $1 million a fight. So to me, that was a no-brainer. That's like, to me, it's like, okay, 4 fights, you get $1 million. It's like, okay, yeah, sweet. That's, and a world title, beautiful.
Yeah.
That seems like the go-to. You know, you go to another organization, you might never make that. You know, so that seemed like the best thing. And you know, I kind of like what the PFL is doing with the whole tournament sort of setup. You know, you kind of know your dates, you know when you're going to fight, you know who you're going to fight in advance. It's not a guessing game anymore where you have to sit and be like, oh, I hope I'm going to get a fight in the next month or two. You know, now, you know, I know already my whole schedule for next year is already set up. And you know, as an athlete, you know, as someone that's obviously plans his whole life around competing and training, for me to be able to know my whole schedule is amazing. You know, like, imagine if you're playing for the Springboks and you didn't know when you were playing your matches, and they just told you like a week before, oh yeah, you're playing this weekend. Oh shit, well I better get in shape. You know, so for me, that was like a major decision for me. It was like, you know, I like the way that they're structured, and obviously the pay setup is amazing. So yeah, it was a no brainer.
The PFL is an interesting one, and I think it caught a lot of people off guard. Like, I think if you're not in, from the South African perspective, if you're not in the UFC, you're in Bellator, and like that's just the kind of the way it goes. But like you say, the chance at fighting to win $1 million is got to be attractive to a lot of people. And your weight division at PFL has got some very very big names, and it's growing and developing. What was the process like from there, Don? Like, obviously you and the UFC cut ties, and then it was automatically just kind of put you out onto the market, and was it pretty immediate? Did PFL come calling like quite quickly, or was it still a bit of a process?
Yeah. So once we had terminated the contract with the UFC, it took you know, me and my manager had already spoken about like what options we could go towards. And yeah, the PFL were stoked. They were, as soon as we had contacted them, they were like super stoked. They were like, yeah, we're going to get you a fight this year just to like showcase you, and then next year we're going to automatically put you into the lightweight tournament. So, you know, we're going to give you like this fight now just to get you in, just to let you earn money, and because, you know, it's been 2 years since you fought, so, you know, get in there and be able to perform, do the things that you want to do, and then next year you can be in the lightweight tournaments and fight for that world title.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was pretty back to back. You know, I think maybe a gap of like 2-3 weeks, and I've had to kind of like keep it quiet until now, which has also been like quite frustrating. But I couldn't announce it until I knew that I had a confirmed fight.
Sure. I have to ask, Don, obviously, like when we look at the landscape of MMA at the moment, obviously it's money is a massive factor, and I think it's now more than ever become such a big talking point about how guys are getting paid, how much it should be getting paid, and fighters' rights and these kind of things. There's a talk of a new league coming, which which is a bit strange at the moment. Like it's 3 years away, but hopefully those kind of things do start to happen. And I think PFL's kind of been, they've kind of ignited that with the league set up
Yeah,
and big pay amounts and those kind of things. The, when it comes to being a world champion, however, we always talk about being a world champion in the UFC. That's where people hold the bar, like that's going to be your grading point. How do you compare becoming or looking at becoming a PFL lightweight world champion as opposed to a UFC lightweight world champion?
like for me, it's always been about just being able to compete and being able to express myself as a martial artist. Winning world titles is always part of the journey. And as far as I'm concerned, a world title is a world title. If name a South African or an African that's in Africa that's won a world title, any major world title. Zero. So if I'm the first guy to do that, whether it's PFL, Bellator, ONE FC, it doesn't matter. You're still the best of your class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of course, like the UFC in terms of what the public considers to be the best, is the highest level of MMA. But I think that's also because they've been around for the longest. They were the first major sort of promotion that's come about. But like you said, with these new organizations that are coming around that are offering like health benefits, salaries to fighters, insurance, all these types of things, I think that it's slowly gonna start moving away from these organizations that tie you into these multi-fight deals for an indefinite time frame, just to keep you on their thing without paying you. I mean, I think imagine I signed you to a job, right? And I said, cool, I'm not going to pay you a salary, and only when you come into the office, when I decide, you're going to get paid. Do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't sound like the best job in the
No,
world, does it?
no,
Sounds like
I'm
quite a
not.
shit job.
I'm not signing up too quickly for that one.
You see what I'm saying? So like I think we're slowly going to start moving away from that model of MMA, which I think is great, because if I sign with a promotion that says I'm guaranteeing you 3 fights a year, so you're going to get 3 match days or 4 match day fees, and you're going to get paid throughout the year, and we're going to give you healthcare, and we're going to give you insurance and benefits and stuff like that. To me, that's like, okay, now I'm starting to feel like an athlete, because the problem is that I think is that the UFC and other promotions have sort of started to, like, where does the line between fighter and athlete like cross over? Because everyone they want to call everyone athletes, but then they want to treat them like fighters. They want to treat them like prize fighters. So it's like, oh, here's some money to go have a fight, but we're not treating you like it. But we want to call you an athlete, but we're actually treating you like a cockfight, basically. And I think, like, if we're going to start calling people athletes, then we've got to start treating them like athletes. And the way to treat them like athletes is to, do what guys like the PFL and what these other organizations are going to start doing, where it starts to become, you're actually signed to a promotion or to an organization that is your employer. You're employed by them and you are doing a job, and that to me seems like the way forward, especially in the next coming years.
Yeah, 100%. I have to agree. There has to be. We can't be stuck between complaining about money where there's an obvious problem for eternity. Eventually, something's gonna have to give. And I mean, the fight game is quite synonymous. I mean, we understand that even here locally, the guys like the EFC, the UFC, these are businesses, and that's their heart and soul. But like it's a very interesting analogy. At some point, the crossover from fighter to athlete has to change, and
Yeah,
for that perspectives to change, and to change the way, let's use the local analogy of the EFC, to change perspectives for sponsors to not look at MMA in a bad light. It's going to take the full athlete model to say this is a recognized sport. There's a league, there's structure, there's
yeah,
payments in place, and all those kind of things. I think that is hopefully the future of MMA, and
absolutely.
big ups to guys like the PFL. One thing about the PFL, which I find really intriguing, is automatically, uh, from a business perspective, signing you, they've already locked up this whole section of fans that automatically the first question is what is happening with Don Madge in the UFC, and then after that, the next question is where can we watch the PFL?
Yeah,
That's what I've been dealing with the whole week, which is quite cool. So automatically the PFL's branched themselves into Africa through you, which is good business. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So it's very smart on their part. I think it's very smart on your part. It's massively exciting. Obviously, the UFC is like the top echelon, but it's not to say that the PFL is not a top echelon or Bellator is not a top echelon. And so for one, and it's exciting for us to now have a South African in a different organization, which brings something different and expands, I think, everybody's knowledge base in MMA. Just with that, Don, obviously you've mentioned the frustrations. I know one of the frustrations have been dealing with questions that you could only answer where you are now. Now that the information's out, I'm sure you've been bombarded with questions. I know I have. So what is your message to those people that have been waiting, fans, supporters and that from South Africa? You finally got a fight coming up. You're at a new organization. I know it's been tough for them to wait in silence to hear the answers. Just an opportunity for you to address those people.
Yeah, man. I mean, to everyone out there that's been supporting me, it's especially with me being inactive and you guys like staying behind me, staying supportive. Like all the messages I've received about my signing to the PFL and this new sort of journey that I'm on. It's been amazing, and I think like that's exactly to your point. We've opened up a branch now to show that okay, we've got guys, local guys that can fight all over the world, anywhere in the world, and compete at the highest levels of any organization. And I think in terms of my situation, I'm going out to go win that world title, and I plan on being the first South African to win a major world title, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show that all the guys that have been supporting me and been backing me since day one, that I'm the real deal, and I'm gonna go and win that world title. And then when these other guys start asking for me to come fight for them again, we'll be in a whole different seat, and the landscape of South African MMA is going to change a lot.
Fantastic, man, Don. I'm honestly really glad that you finally managed to get some progress. It's been massively frustrating for us as fans. I can't even imagine what it's been like for you, never mind the financial side of things, of not being able to earn and being sidelined and being dragged into trolls online that don't really know what's going on and all those kinds of things. But massively exciting. I know that everyone's asking me about the PFL. I am in contact with them to get the information about broadcasting and where we can and can't watch it in South Africa. That'll come through reasonably soon, and we will keep everyone updated as the fight progresses, or as it gets closer to fight night, should I say. Wish you all the best for the rest of your camp, dude. Best of luck to you and your family. Enjoy the time as much as you can, and then you've got to ship off as Daddy Don, new fresh motivation, fight sign, new organization. Massively exciting, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Man. Thank you very much. Oh, good to chat.
You too. Thanks, dude. Have a good day. We'll chat to you soon.
Brother.